Hi everyone, Pam Gregory. I'm going to be talking to you today about the second half of July and the full moon that we have in Capricorn on the 19th. Now, through this second half of July, we have a continuing highlight of the Uranus-Pluto square. Now, the Uranus-Pluto square I've talked a great deal about. It essentially began in spring of 2011, so it's been running pretty much for 5 years. And although it's starting to widen now, it's being highlighted and therefore being brought back to prominence, if you like, by the sun. The sun is shining a light, opposing Pluto and squaring Uranus and Eris. In fact, it's exactly squaring Uranus on the 16th. So I've spoken about this symbolism a great deal. It's about sudden disruptive events. It's about people rising up against control. There's a big theme here of freedom versus control. Big theme through the second half of July, freedom versus control in various ways. So it's about coming up against the status quo, challenging old institutions, governments, challenging the old paradigm and demanding more freedom of individual self-expression. On a personal note, it's very connected to awakenings, big shifts in energy and consciousness, and many people have experienced that over the last 5 years. So that's been highlighted up until about the 18th of the month. Continuing on from that, we still have this awkward aspect between Mars and Uranus and Eris in Aries, which Mars rules. So this symbolism is very similar. It's a kind of shake-up and a breakthrough. It's sudden, eruptive, disruptive events, but it's also about energizing your superconscious. It's about taking your perception to a higher level. Now, there's going to be quite a theme also in the second half of July. So there's almost a kind of polarity going on between, we may see some difficult things in the world, but equally we may feel that our consciousness is shifting in quite significant ways in the second half of July. So Mars is going to be quite helpful for us because it's now starting to accelerate. It went direct at the end of June. Initially, through the early part of July, it was moving quite slowly. Now it's starting to pick up speed. And that will mean there's a pickup in energy. Pickup in energy really that all of us will feel, but particularly if you have any Aries or Scorpio emphasis, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, Midheaven. After the 21st of August, Mars then moves beyond what's known as its shadow phase, and the energy pickup will be even more noticeable at that point. But it's picking up all the time, which is great to move projects ahead. We also still have that very beneficial trine between Jupiter and Pluto. That's Jupiter is in the mid-degrees of Virgo and Pluto in the mid-degrees of Capricorn. So if you have anything between 16 and 20 degrees of the earth signs, which are Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, you might have already seen the benefit of this over the last sort of 2-3 weeks of increased recognition, abundance, personal growth opportunities coming in. It can be any or all of those things, or you may still have more of that aspect to benefit you in your life, but it's really positive. We still have continuing the beautiful equilateral triangle, grand trine in water, between the Sun in Cancer, Mars in Scorpio, and Chiron in Pisces. So if you have anything between 23 and 25 degrees of the water signs, and they are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, you can really benefit from this. And it's about deep emotional healing. Deep emotional healing at a very deep level. And particularly if you have emotion which is suppressed, repressed, that's the Mars and Scorpio side, which you've kind of pushed down and not acknowledged. This is a wonderful time to release it, to bring it to the surface, release it, and then you can move on more lightly. So that aspect is going to continue up until about the 20th of the month. The more I work with Chiron, I'm seeing Chiron as the shaman, if you like, the shapeshifter. Chiron is always about healing. It's about wounding and about healing, and it's about alternative healing, not allopathic medicine in any way. But it's about a shift in perception to change our health and change our reality. It's about taking our thinking and our emotions and directing them in a very clear, intentional way to get that shift in vibration, to change our health and change our reality. And it's very interesting. Chiron was discovered right at the end of the 70s, and there's always a correlation between the discovery of a planet and the themes and trends that subsequently emerge in the world. And if you listen to pretty much any one of the great thought leaders at the moment, they are speaking on chironic themes about the power of our thought, the power of our emotion to shift our health and our reality. So I think Chiron is incredibly important, and it's very strong at the moment, not only because it's in that equilateral grand trine going on most of the month, but also on the 25th of the month, it becomes stationary. And whenever a planet is stationary, its symbolism is emphasized. So really go deep inside yourself, particularly if you have those aspects, those degrees 23 to 25 of the water signs, because great things can happen, great shifts can happen to benefit you with this. Then on the 19th of July at 3:56 p.m. Pacific and 11:56 p.m. UK time, we have the full moon at 27 degrees 40 minutes of Capricorn. Now, it's very interesting. This month we've had the new moon at the beginning in Cancer and now this full moon in Capricorn, and both of those signs are about security. Cancer is about emotional security, feeling nurtured, feeling protected, and Capricorn is about practical security. It's bricks and mortar security, it's also financial security. It's very linked to government. It's linked to controlling the external, so linked to governments in terms of the government controlling what's going on and giving us practical security. But what's fascinating at the moment with this full moon is that the sun and the moon, which was opposite each other at a full moon, are both tightly square to Uranus and Eris in Aries, which, as I've spoken already, are very much about instability and uncertainty. So here again we have our strong theme coming up of freedom versus control, because the Uranus side can feel like a lot of uncertainty in the world, but the positive side is we want to be free. We don't want to do it the old way anymore. We want to take a risk. We want to have an adventure. We want to have that individual self-expression. We want to shift our consciousness. Whereas the Capricorn side wants to keep a tighter control on that. So that's that, again, that swing between the two. And that theme is really emphasized because we also have a Uranus-Saturn aspect. So again, that's about control and freedom. So you may feel that pull in yourself. Part of you wants to be free and do things differently and take a risk, and another part wants to be more cautious. But we can also see it, I think, very much out in the world, with governments trying to take measures to control any uncertainty. So it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out. We have a really lovely aspect between Uranus and Neptune developing, which is going to continue for the next couple of months, and we're going to have it for a lot of 2017. We actually had something similar in the 1960s, and this is about a spiritual revolution. It's quite mystical actually, because it can allow you to perceive dimensions of reality that you never believed existed. Again, it gives us this shift to the superconscious. It's about perceiving a more spiritual collective or a more spiritual community. And again, we have echoes of the 60s with this. It's also about inspired art and inspired music. And again, we had a lot of that in the 1960s. So I think that's something really wonderful that is going to be coming up for us, which is almost where we're headed, and in terms of a new paradigm. But still, there are some challenges to the old paradigm, because although our mutable grand cross is now broken out, it's still broken up. It's still left the remnant of Saturn square to Neptune. And that aspect will continue till mid-October. And again, I've talked about this a great deal, but it's about walls and borders, walls going up, walls coming down. It's about the migrant issue, immigration policy, flip-flopping and being confused and changing. It's also about the truth, the trustworthiness, the honesty, the integrity of our leaders. Saturn, the authority figures, the leaders. So, and I think certainly in many countries that has come under question recently. I think it certainly has come under question in the UK. So watch for that, because that's going to be a bit of a theme until mid-October. In a very positive way, it's about making real the dream. It's about grounding your vision, making it achievable. We also, right at the end of the month, on the 29th, we have a square between Mars and Mercury. So that can mean sharp words, angry words, aggressive words. So just really think before you speak, because it's quick to react. And I say that because also on the same day, Uranus becomes stationary. And we know when a planet is stationary, the symbolism is magnified. So with Uranus there, it's about eruptive energy, it's about reactive energy, it's revolutionary, it's original, it's about freedom, it's very inventive. So there's a speed. Uranus is always associated with feeling that time is speeded up, things are speeded up. So just don't be too quick round about the 29th to reply in any angry or assertive way, and you might want to catch your words back after you've spoken, so be aware of that. So a lot going on this July. See where 2740 of Capricorn falls in your chart. That's the full moon. Full moons are always cycles of fruition, culmination, completion, and often the results of what we've achieved. We've put work in, it's the results of what we've achieved. So see where that falls for you, see what that means for you in your chart. And if you don't know where that falls, check out this link above. My tutorial videos will explain very clearly how you find that in your birth chart and what it means for you. If you'd like to know more about my book, my audiobook, my free monthly newsletter of 4,000 words, my recent hour-long video on Jupiter and Saturn cycles, just check out my website, pamgregory.com, or thenextstep.uk.com. And just remember these strong themes of freedom versus control. Going to have a lot of intensity still in this second half of July. Remember the benefit of Mars moving forwards and our energy picking up, and remember those very strong Chiron themes around healing, and a very rich month of experience. Have a wonderful full moon in Capricorn, and I'll be speaking to you next time about the beginning of August. Thanks for listening.